Hey, everybody. I just wanted to talk today a little bit about the extremes of duality that are available to us on this planet in a perceived three-dimensional world. This is actually a much higher dimensional world than three. Some can speculate and conceive of a fourth dimension being time, but there are actually at least 9 dimensions here on Earth in order for this kind of life to exist, which is spirit in matter. So the matter requires its dimensions, which appear to be defined as 3 plus time 4. But in order for the matter to become animated and a vehicle to be used by spirit, the spirit actually brings in the remaining 5 dimensions. So on Earth, there are at least 9 dimensions to you and to your body and to your spirit. And depending on how far your consciousness has been developed, you can experience any number of those dimensions. However, those are dimensions of you. They really are recognized and perceived through meditation and prayer and yoga. There's all kinds of breathing techniques, not necessarily yoga or from that part of the world. They are only grown, the perception of them is only grown through internal work. And some people do their internal work through dance. You don't have to be a spinning Shiva. What are they called? I saw them once, the Turkish divas. You don't have to spin around to achieve what some people call nirvana, which is really just universal consciousness. All life everywhere can access this universal consciousness. And if you're an artist or a writer or a songwriter, if you're a creator of any kind, perhaps a mechanical engineer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the universal consciousness that all of life, whether it's human or off-planetary or even in other dimensions and other universes, has access to. Many people call that the God point or the source, or it's not the matrix. The matrix used to be kind of referred to in that high definition, but now the matrix is referred to as kind of like a program, almost like a computer program that we are kind of stuck in, that we have to live out while we're here. And what's really interesting is that every single person with higher developed consciousness chose to come here. So when you start thinking, I'm trapped, I can't get out, I need to escape the matrix, then start to go within. Some people go within through artwork, singing, dance, music, numbers. There are many, many different ways within which to reach the Godhead inside of you, which is actually universal consciousness. And it's called so many different things. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what it's called in different parts of the world. But the whole point is you reach your spiritual Godhead by turning within, by looking at yourself and looking at the real you. Is the you the person who's thinking and feeling and acting and doing? Not really. Shane, my buddy over on Unbiased and on the Fence, once said to me a long time ago, well, it feels like a long time ago, but I've only known him for just over a year. He said to me, I've often wondered, Eileen, who is the person or the consciousness inside of me listening to the voice inside of me that says things and observes things and notices things and formulates the words. Now that is the Godhead that is so often spoken about in mystical teachings in all different languages and different definitions and different words for the same thing. It's your identity. It's who you really, really, really are once you strip away the ego, and with it goes the feelings, and with it goes the thoughts and the mind and the intelligence. All of that goes away, and there is an essence of you that exists that knows everything. And you've touched on that essence from time to time. Some people feel it in their gut. It tells them, not to go out, or it tells them which way to turn. It tells them which job to take. Some people actually feel it in their heart as kind of a fluttering sensation, not really physical, but of, a desire to go one way versus the other. Some people are extremely mental, and a lot of their energy is hanging in their etheric body, which is the closest to the physical body. And they will have a knowing. They will know which way to go. They will know what to do. And we get little glimpses of this attachment, this connection to universal mind that all life in all universes is attached to. And when we get that little spark of inspiration, we recognize that it didn't come from us. And then the more we allow that spark of inspiration to work through us, the more we realize, well, it's like, where does that song come from? It was just there. I just opened up and I was inspired and the song came through. And the more you do that in whatever way that you are being creative and exercising your creativity, the more you do that, the more you realize that spark that you think is outside of you, that is pure inspiration, actually is you. It's a part of you. It's a part of you that is always there, operating in the background, quietly, kind of like a silent partner or a silent observer. And you can bring that side of you out. Many people call it the higher self. And you can exercise that creative, inspirational part of you that already exists more and more and more every day until you kind of start to become what they call heart-centered. And heart-centered people have just been practicing and tapping into their higher self, their inspirational self, their connection to God, their Godhead. And they have been doing this so often that now it is second nature. It just becomes easier and easier the more that you do it. Like anything else, when a child is learning to stand up and take those first few steps, it doesn't look too easy. But look at how we've mastered walking, and look at how we've mastered talking and thinking and writing and all of the unimaginable creations that we've created to, say, the Stone Age human being. Take that poor Stone Age human being and put them in your living room and show them how the TV, the telephone, the Wi-Fi works, and then take them for a drive around in your car, and you will find a stone-aged human being that is out of his or her mind, because this is all impossible. So it's magical. And often human beings then go into the fear, and then it's diabolical and it's fearful and it's demonic and it's Satan, because they don't understand it. It's scary. So I am just going to recommend in this video that you go inside more, however you like to do that, through meditation, through prayer, through singing, through dancing, through writing, through journaling, through creating artwork, through kindness, through acts of love, through acts of forgiveness. Whatever brings you in touch with the real you that is related to God, which is everything that ever was, everything that is now, and everything that ever will be, anywhere, in all dimensions, in all universes. So do whatever it is that puts you in touch with the real you, with your higher self, and just really allow the real you to come through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions more and more and more every day. And yes, there is the ego, which is our personality, which is also cohabitating the body that you are utilizing to experience life on earth. So when the ego steps up and gets really critical of something or someone or whatever, try to notice that thought. And once you start noticing a critical thought, the next step is to think something in the exact opposite that has to do with whatever you're being critical of. So, somebody bumps into you at the grocery store and you're like, oh, wow, that was really rude. What blank blank, whatever you want to call them in your mind. And then think, well, wait a minute, that was an unkind, critical, judgmental thought. And then with looking at them or thinking about them, say, I'm going to send them a blessing. Maybe I thought it was rude that they bumped into me, but maybe they didn't see me. And I'll tell you a little story that will help you to understand that when you are being critical, it's kind of a jolt to wake you up so that you can then notice the critical nature, which is the ego, and then you can think the opposite with love, forgiveness, and a blessing to whatever you were critical about. My husband, John, was an amazing, incredible man, and in so many ways that I couldn't even start to describe it here. And he went blind in one eye. And he would go to the grocery store with me occasionally. He didn't enjoy it because of this one thing that kept happening. He was completely blind. He lost his eye and had a false eye put in on the left side. And when he was walking down the grocery store, he would occasionally bump into somebody on his left side because he couldn't see them at all. And they would turn and scowl at him or yell at him or swear at him. And he would always turn around and go, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. And of course, that made my blood boil because I just wanted to shake them and tell them, you asshole. Are we allowed to say those words on YouTube? I guess so. How dare you shout at my husband? He's blind in that eye. What you think is an eyeball is a really well manufactured false eye that he can pop out right now and show you if we have to. But you're not going to want to see that, to be honest. And how dare you judge him and yell at him and scowl at him as if he did you some injustice. He is blind. He bumped into you because he's blind, but you don't know that, so you're scowling at him. See? It's just a great story. It's just a great lesson in life. And my husband, bless him, he never carried these things around with him. He didn't carry that as part of his baggage. He let it go. So by being with him, I had to learn to let it go. I had to learn to not always be so defensive of others to protect them because that is in my nature. It is very much in my nature to protect and defend. And of course we have to do a bit of that because we're parents and sisters and mothers and fathers and brothers and we protect, we defend. But mine was an extreme feeling of protecting those who were having a weak moment. And I had to learn to step back too. So the tool here, the lesson here is you are already connected to God. You know you are because you're listening to my channel. You'd be nowhere near my channel if you didn't know that you were already connected to all of source energy. And so is everybody else and everything else that's alive, no matter where it is, on the earth, off the earth, whatever. And you can become more spiritually aware, present, and in the moment by just noticing any negative thoughts and feelings that you might have. And once you've noticed them, you can graduate to saying or thinking or doing the exact opposite of whatever it was that was negative a moment before. Somebody cuts me off in traffic, it immediately makes me go, because I might have hit them, or it makes me angry, makes me scared, all these feelings. And I'm thinking, okay, that is a negative response. That's a negative thought. That's a negative feeling. God bless them. They're in a hurry. Maybe they didn't see me. God, please keep them safe on their travels so they are safe at all times, now and always. And so it is. So that's how I will counteract a negative response that's immediate and provoked by, say, somebody cutting me off in traffic. This is not hard stuff to do. It's really easy stuff to do. And for every negative thought you have that you notice, that you counterbalance with a positive thought, you have completely neutralized it. It has gone to the zero state, to 0 point, like Ho'oponopono. You've neutralized the negativity back to zero. It no longer exists. This is called karma clearing. This is karma wiping. This is karma releasing. For every negative thought, feeling, or action, If you notice it and recognize it with your higher self and immediately do the exact opposite to counterbalance it, you have removed it. It's gone. And you can carry on going forward. And that's what I do. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to share with all of you today. Because this channel is going to take a slightly different direction. It's like the first 70 videos were all A, B, C, how to, on the Mandela effect, holographic universe, jumping timelines, string theory, you name it. Quantum awakening, all the fun stuff, right? And if you're still here after all of those fun videos, you really deserve the nuts and the bolts of what I have to offer. And these videos are going to get deeper and deeper and deeper until we're all swimming together in the deepest possible fathomless parts of reality, where we know that we can do that confidently, and we can do that with joy, and we can do that with love and with compassion and with cooperation, because that's who we are. We're just going to be us. We're just going to be real. Hashtag be real. Okay, much love, everybody.